guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Kirsten and it's time for my 2020 reading journal flip through. So this is just a standard lined notebook that I picked up in Sainsbury's for £3, and as you can see I haven't used all of it and I'll get into that in a moment, but for now let's get straight to it. Okay, so let's ignore this title page. Honestly, this is my first time keeping a reading journal and I had no idea what I wanted to do, so we'll just ignore this. Okay, so this is actually probably one of the most used spreads that I actually use throughout this journal, and it is one that I have kept with me for my 2021 setup, which is now live if you want to check that out. And that first one is the books read. So this was my goal, to read 100 books, and I have actually managed that. I'm just about to finish my 106th book, so I'm really pleased with that. And then we have my goals to read outside my usual genre, which I normally read fantasy, so I set myself a goal to read some contemporary, manga and graphic novel, and horror and mysteries. Now you'll notice that the months only start at April, and that's because I actually only started getting back into reading in April, well, halfway through April. When lockdown and everything was going on, I started reading a lot more, and that's also when I started keeping a reading journal, and then my YouTube channel followed in May. This was my anticipated releases of the year. I didn't end up getting all of them in the end. I still can't decide if I actually used this much. And then we have my monthly review. Now this again is one of the most used pages. I use this at the end of each month to do my monthly wrap-ups, and you can see that I started off not very many books at all in April, but that's because I didn't start reading until halfway through the month, and then we went very high across the rest of the year. As I'm recording this, I'm actually on the 27th of December, so I haven't filled this in as of yet. But I liked to track my rereads and then the star rating of the books and total pages. And then we get straight into the month of April. So April was the Owls Readathon, which I took part in my very first readathon. I really enjoyed it. And then I just have my to be read, notes about the books that I've read, and then book of the month. Very, very simple. I didn't do much for April at all because it was my first month. Then we had May, which I went for this vintage botanical theme. And again, I have my to be read, and this is where I realised I need more room than what I was giving myself. And I wasn't a massive fan of this spread because I didn't like how thick these side parts were. And I added in quotes of the month because I realised there were certain quotes that I really liked in books and I wanted to keep a note of them. And also book of the month as usual. And then I had a couple of readathons in the month of May. I later changed this so that the readathons would be at the start of the month because I wasn't happy with adding these on halfway through. But we had the Leavathon, which was a middle grade reading challenge for a week, and then the Asian Readathon, which was also a week long. Both of these were really good fun to take part in. And then we hit June, which was another month-long readathon, which was Make Your Myth Taker. I really had fun with this, although I did be a bit too ambitious with what I was trying to go for. These are all the prompts. And then I expanded my TBR, and I've kept to this since. So we've got my TBR books and then extra books that I've read throughout the month. I also expanded my notes on books because where I'm reading a lot more, I definitely wanted to keep more notes on the books that I was reading. And then just the standard pages. I really enjoyed this black and gold theme, but it's not something I'll do too often because I much prefer colour. But I do think this one worked quite nicely. And then we have July, and I went for, it feels more spring than summertime vibe, but there we go. And this is where I added in my days read spread. And I read quite a lot, honestly, only one day where I didn't read in July. Then we have two readathons that I was taking part in. So this was a week-long Korean readathon, and then we also have Bookopoly. and that was really fun. This was just a weekend readathon, and I really enjoyed this one. Then we have my own To Be Read game, which I started in July, which this is probably the nicest my game has ever been to me. And then of course extra reads. And then straight into August, where I went for more of a vintage theme, and again keeping with my days read. This was Tome Topple, and oh my gosh, was this hard, because the idea of this readathon is that you had to read books over 500 pages long, and yeah, that took some time. Then we also had Summerween, which was a week-long readathon, the idea being to read creepy books during the month of summer, so it's Halloween but early. This was really good fun actually, I really enjoyed taking part in this. And then September, I really loved this theme. I based it all around this sticker and I just loved it. I love this. It's just everything that's me. It's got pink and white and cute animals. It's perfect. I did actually add in this little bit to my spread, which is the books read and then the pages read, because before this I wasn't tracking my pages read, and I found that especially during the month of Tome Topple I felt like I read hardly anything, but that's because the books were massive. So actually page count wise I read loads, but I didn't think about it like that. So this is something that I needed to start adding in so I could stop giving myself such a hard time if I wasn't reading as many books. Then we have Bookopoly-thon. This was a month-long readathon this time. And my own TBR game. Just my usual thoughts on the books, quotes, and a book of the month. And then we have October, and this is probably my favourite spread out of all of it. Even though I love the previous one with all the pink and everything, this one just speaks to me. I love it, and I loved being able to use all these stickers, and that's by Moth Stigma. I'll have her linked below with her Etsy channel. And yeah, I absolutely loved this theme. So I have my own TBR game for the month as usual. Then I also took part in Slayerfest, which was a Buffy the Vampire inspired readathon. My notes on books read, quotes, book of the month, and then I also added in this, which is my books hoard, because each month I do a monthly book haul on my YouTube channel, and I needed a place where I can actually keep track of the books that I am buying each month and how I'm buying them. So I will put notes of whether they're pre-order, whether I paid full price for them, whether they're thrifted or gifted, and I just find this really helpful, so this stays for some future spreads. Then we have a Pink Panther theme. I found these Pink Panther stickers, so I just thought I have to do a theme around this. Then we have my To Be Read game, and I didn't leave myself space for any other extra reads, so I ended up sticking this in because this was a month where I just didn't really feel like reading anything, and so ended up reading whatever I felt like in the end, because I just, yeah, wasn't feeling it this month. And it's also where I started listening to audiobooks, which was amazing. And then my usual notes on books. I tried doing the lettering like the Pink Panther title. It went okay. Then we have my quotes and book of the month, which is, I also got a thermal printer, which I loved because then I could start printing out book covers, which, yeah, honestly, such a handy little thing. And although it does only print black and white, you can get coloured paper for this, and I really enjoyed being able to print out these covers. I think it really added to it. Then we have my books hauled page. I got so many books in November, honestly. I won a few different gift cards from work, and they know that I read a lot, so they got me book ones, and yeah, honestly, I paid full price for one book. I was on a book buying ban, but I only paid full price for one book throughout the month of November, and the rest of it was all gifted or pre-orders, which I let myself keep because they're pre-orders. And then I have thrifted books. So this was just before I went on my book buying ban. I actually bought all these from charity shops. The most I spent on each book was £2, and it was after this haul that I was like, okay, I'm going to go on a ban now. But then I didn't expect to be winning the gift card voucher. I thought I would just be having the thrifted books and then a few pre-orders, but then I won the voucher anyway, so yeah, a lot of books. Then we have December, and I decided to go for these cute little cat themes. And in this, I don't like this page. I've left it as extra reads. I didn't know what to do on this page, honestly, because where I started getting into audiobooks, I decided to do 2 days read trackers, where I had one for audio and one for physically read. And I've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed tracking how I'm reading my books. But yeah, it did mean that I got left with an empty page, which I didn't know what to do with. And then my to be read game, which honestly, I've almost finished this one. I've got 100 pages left of Hero of Ages, and I should be able to start Empire of Storms. So I've done pretty well for the month of December actually. And then I've got my usual notes on books, which I'm thinking of expanding this because I do write a lot, and then it gets to the last couple books and I'm starting to run out of space, so I'm having to write less. So I think I'm going to expand this so I have more room to write. And then we have quotes of the month and book of the month, which honestly, I think it's going to be The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter. I absolutely adored that book, and the book that I'm reading now is a reread. And the next book that's left on my TBR is also a reread. So honestly, I don't ever put rereads as book of the month. I always go for a newer book. I won't put in The Strange Case just in case I decide to read something different for the last couple of days of December, but I definitely think it's going to be Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter. That was an amazing book. And then we have my book haul, which again, most of this was gifted. I only bought one book, and this is actually done, so my book hauls go from halfway through each month, so they're normally from the 20th of each month to the 20th of the next month, because that's when I do the video on my YouTube channel. So most of these actually came in November, and I think apart from Kingdom of the Wicked, that was the only book I actually got during December. I might start putting the dates there so I can actually keep track of how many were bought in December, and that it seems a bit confusing, but it works for how I do my book haul videos on my channel. Then we have my book statistics for the year. So what I've done is total up where I'm currently standing. Obviously I have a few days left of December, so this will change, but currently I've read 106 books because I'm including the book that I'm going to finish today. 19 of them were rereads, 30 5-stars, amazing year, 48 4-stars, 25 3-stars, 3 2-stars, I didn't read any 1-stars, and I had 5 DNFs, which honestly isn't that bad. And then we have my top books of 2020, so I've got ones for each month, so from April. And again, loving this printer, it's so helpful. And then the same again, and I'll put December's one here, and that is it. I have quite a few pages that I haven't used, but what I'll probably end up doing is just using them if I ever need any extra space, like what I did here, and just being able to stick that in. But yeah, that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this little flip through, and let me know, do you keep a reading journal? How do you track all of your reading? I'd be very interested to know. And as usual, if you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. My social media links to my Instagram and Goodreads will be linked below, and I'll catch you in the next one.